What if the skies remained empty? Not of birds, of course, but of the metal birds that have shrunk our planet and woven its disparate cultures into a single, interconnected tapestry. Imagine a world where continents are still separated by weeks of ocean travel, where news trickles in at a snail's pace, and where the very concept of global feels distant and abstract. This is not a whimsical fantasy, but a serious exploration into the power of a single invention to reshape the course of history. We often take for granted the technological marvels that underpin our daily lives. The airplane, soaring silently overhead, is a silent giant, its impact reaching far beyond mere transportation. Its absence would trigger a cascade of unforeseen consequences, altering the very fabric of our societies, economies, and even our understanding of the world. Consider the implications for international relations, trade agreements, and the spread of ideas. How would our world maps look different? How would our cities be structured? How would our personal relationships evolve without the ease of long-distance travel? We are about to embark on a journey through a counterfactual world, a world that never fully embraced the freedom of flight. By dissecting the ripple effects of this technological absence, we can gain a deeper appreciation for the complex interplay between invention and societal transformation. Prepare to have your assumptions challenged and your perspectives broadened. The story is not just about what we would lose, but also about the alternative paths humanity might have taken. What innovations would have flourished in the airplane's place? What societal priorities would have emerged in a world constrained by terrestrial and maritime limitations? By contrasting our current reality with this imagined alternative, we can uncover hidden dependencies and vulnerabilities in our own technological landscape. The journey provides not only historical insight, but also a valuable framework for analyzing the potential impacts of future technological disruptions. Prepare to confront a compelling reflection on our present. As we navigate this alternate reality, the journey promises to deliver fresh insight into how revolutions and historical changes intertwine, influencing everything from monumental geopolitical shifts to deeply personal human experiences. Through the exploration of this what-if scenario, we will unearth the complex interconnectedness of our modern world, offering a unique lens through which to understand the profound influence of innovation on the trajectory of human civilization. Join us as we take flight into the depths of possibility and alternative timelines. In a world dominated by instant communication and rapid global transit, it's easy to overlook the profound impact of revolutions and historical changes. We live in an era defined by interconnectedness, a concept largely shaped by the advent of air travel. Before airplanes, globalization was a slow, deliberate process, limited by the constraints of maritime and terrestrial transport. To truly understand the significance of this historical change, we must consider a world where the skies remain unconquered. The absence of air travel is not merely a technological omission, it represents a fundamental shift in the fabric of human society. It's a constraint that would ripple through every aspect of our lives, from the speed of information flow to the structure of international trade. We face the problem of understanding how one invention, or its absence, can redefine the trajectory of civilization. What are the foundational elements necessary to comprehend the significance of that transformation? Consider, for example, the challenges of global business. Today, executives can hop on a plane and negotiate deals across continents in a matter of days. Without air travel, these same negotiations would require weeks or even months of ocean voyages, significantly increasing costs and slowing down the pace of commerce. Imagine the logistical nightmares of shipping perishable goods across vast distances, or the difficulty of coordinating international disaster relief efforts. These are just a few of the problems that a world without airplanes would face. The context is further complicated by the interconnected nature of technological advancements. The airplane did not emerge in a vacuum. It was the product of centuries of scientific and engineering progress. Its development spurred further innovations in fields such as aerodynamics, material science, and engine technology. Without the airplane, these fields might have evolved along entirely different paths, leading to unforeseen consequences for other industries. The need, therefore, lies in fully appreciating those unforeseen consequences. To tackle the challenge of understanding the historical impact of air travel, we need to explore key concepts such as globalization, technological determinism, and counterfactual history. Globalization refers to the increasing interconnectedness of the world through trade, communication, and cultural exchange. Technological determinism is the idea that technology shapes society and culture. Counterfactual history involves exploring alternative scenarios based on different historical outcomes. Visual aids, such as maps illustrating trade routes before and after the advent of air travel, could be helpful in illustrating these concepts. The journey ahead will aim to solve the puzzle of understanding a world without the airplane by addressing these fundamental historical and conceptual elements. Intrigued by this what if? Ready to unravel more historical shifts? Your unique perspective is invaluable. Subscribe now for thought-provoking explorations and share your insights in the comments. Let's build a community, examining the impact of innovation together. What are your thoughts on a world without flight? To truly grasp the profound impact of the airplane, we need to consider its effects across several key sectors: communication, trade, warfare, and societal development. Our goal is to understand not just what was gained, but what might have been had this invention never taken flight. We can achieve this by exploring specific scenarios and comparing them to our current reality. Let's begin with communication. In our world, the internet allows for instant communication across vast distances, but the airplane facilitates face-to-face interactions that are crucial for building trust and fostering collaboration. In a world without airplanes, how would international diplomacy function? Imagine negotiating complex trade agreements via transatlantic cables or relying solely on written correspondence for resolving international conflicts. The pace of diplomacy would slow dramatically, potentially leading to increased misunderstandings and a greater risk of conflict. A practical step is to analyze historical diplomatic events, comparing timelines and outcomes before and after the widespread adoption of air travel. Next, consider the realm of trade. Air freight enables the rapid transport of high-value, time-sensitive goods, such as electronics, pharmaceuticals, and fresh produce. Without airplanes, global supply chains would be significantly disrupted. Companies would need to rely on slower and less reliable forms of transport, increasing costs and reducing efficiency. Imagine the impact on industries that rely on just-in-time manufacturing or the availability of perishable goods. A practical exercise would be to compare the cost and delivery times of shipping various goods by sea versus by air, highlighting the economic advantages of air travel. In the realm of warfare, the airplane has revolutionized military strategy and tactics. Aerial reconnaissance provides invaluable intelligence, while strategic bombing allows for the targeting of enemy infrastructure. Without airplanes, warfare would likely revert to more traditional forms, such as trench warfare and naval blockades. Imagine the increased reliance on ground troops and the devastating consequences for civilian populations. Analyzing historical battles and military campaigns, both with and without air power, can provide valuable insights into the impact of air travel on warfare. Consider, for instance, the Battle of the Somme in World War I, a conflict characterized by prolonged trench warfare and a high casualty rate. How might that battle have unfolded differently with the presence of aerial reconnaissance and air support? Finally, let's examine the societal implications. Air travel has facilitated cultural exchange, tourism, and migration, fostering a greater sense of global interconnectedness. Without airplanes, our world would be more fragmented and insular. Imagine the limited opportunities for travel and the reduced exposure to different cultures. A practical step would be to compare the rates of international travel and migration before and after the advent of air travel, highlighting the impact on cultural diversity and social integration. By exploring these scenarios and engaging in practical exercises, we can gain a deeper appreciation for the transformative impact of the airplane. This understanding can then be applied to analyzing other technological innovations and their potential consequences for society, ensuring a more informed and proactive approach to shaping the future. In an era of unprecedented global disruption, understanding the interconnectedness of our world has never been more critical. From pandemics that spread across continents in a matter of weeks to supply chain breakdowns that cripple economies, the fragility of our highly interconnected systems is becoming increasingly apparent. Examining a world without the airplane, therefore, is not just an exercise in historical speculation. It's a vital exploration of resilience and adaptability in the face of unforeseen challenges. The pressing need to understand the ripple effects of technological disruptions is highlighted by several current trends. Consider the ongoing debate surrounding climate change and the environmental impact of air travel. As pressure mounts to reduce carbon emissions, the aviation industry faces increasing scrutiny. Exploring a world without airplanes allows us to imagine alternative models of transportation and economic development, potentially informing strategies for a more sustainable future. Furthermore, the rise of geopolitical tensions and trade wars underscores the importance of diversifying supply chains and fostering regional economic cooperation. A world without airplanes forces us to confront the challenges of relying solely on maritime and terrestrial transport, prompting us to consider alternative strategies for ensuring economic stability and security in a volatile global landscape. The key problem we face is a lack of awareness regarding the profound dependencies we have on specific technologies and the potential consequences of their absence or disruption. We have become so accustomed to the speed and convenience of air travel that we rarely stop to consider the cascading effects of its removal. This knowledge gap leaves us vulnerable to unforeseen shocks and ill-prepared to adapt to future challenges. Imagine, for example, a sudden and prolonged disruption to air travel due to a major volcanic eruption or a global security crisis. How would businesses cope with the inability to transport goods and personnel? How would governments coordinate disaster relief efforts? How would individuals maintain connections with loved ones living abroad? The answers to these questions are far from obvious, highlighting the urgency of exploring alternative scenarios and developing contingency plans. By understanding the transformative impact of the airplane, we can better appreciate the vulnerabilities of our current systems and the importance of building resilience in the face of uncertainty. This understanding is not just relevant for policymakers and business leaders. It's essential for all citizens who seek to navigate an increasingly complex and unpredictable world. Now is the time to address this knowledge gap and prepare for a future where technological disruptions are the new normal. To fully appreciate the ripple effects of a world without airplanes, we need to establish a solid foundation of key concepts. These concepts will help us analyze the complex interplay between technology, society, and historical change. Let's explore globalization, technological determinism, path dependency, and counterfactual history. Globalization, at its core, is the increasing interconnectedness and interdependence of countries through trade, investment, migration, culture, and communication. The airplane has been a significant driver of globalization, shrinking distances and facilitating the rapid exchange of goods, people, and ideas. Without airplanes, globalization would likely be a slower, more fragmented process, with regional economies remaining more isolated and distinct. How would this affect cultural exchange? Technological determinism suggests that technology is the primary driver of social and cultural change. While this is a somewhat controversial perspective, it highlights the powerful influence that technology can have on shaping our lives. The airplane is a prime example of a technology that has profoundly altered the way we live, work, and interact with the world. However, it's important to remember that technology is not the sole determinant of societal change. Social, political, and economic factors also play a crucial role. Path dependency refers to the idea that decisions made in the past can have a lasting impact on future outcomes. In other words, the choices we make today are often constrained by the choices we made yesterday. The development of the airplane, for example, created a path-dependent trajectory for the aviation industry, shaping everything from airport infrastructure to aircraft design. Without the initial breakthrough of powered flight, the subsequent development of aviation technology would have followed a very different path. What alternative transport technologies might have flourished? Counterfactual history, as the name suggests, involves exploring alternative historical scenarios by asking, what if? This approach allows us to examine the potential consequences of different historical outcomes and to gain a deeper understanding of the factors that shaped our current reality. By imagining a world without airplanes, we can explore the potential impacts on trade, communication, warfare, and societal development. To illustrate these concepts, consider the impact of air travel on the spread of diseases. The rapid movement of people across continents via airplanes has facilitated the swift transmission of infectious diseases, as evidenced by the recent COVID-19 pandemic. In a world without airplanes, the spread of such diseases would likely be slower and more localized, potentially mitigating the severity of outbreaks. A visual aid, such as a map illustrating the spread of COVID-19 with and without air travel, could effectively demonstrate this point. Furthermore, consider the impact of air travel on international tourism. The affordability and convenience of air travel have made it possible for millions of people to explore different cultures and experience new destinations. In a world without airplanes, tourism would be limited to a smaller, more affluent segment of the population, potentially hindering cultural exchange and understanding. Data on international tourist arrivals before and after the advent of mass air travel could highlight this impact. By understanding these key concepts, we can begin to unravel the complex web of connections that link technology, society, and history. This knowledge will empower us to think critically about the potential impacts of future technological innovations and to make informed decisions about how to shape the future of our world. Now that we've explored the key concepts, let's delve into the practical applications and potential challenges of navigating a world without airplanes. How would businesses adapt to the slower pace of global commerce? How would individuals maintain connections with loved ones living abroad? How would governments respond to international crises? One of the most significant challenges would be adapting to the reduced speed of transportation. Businesses would need to adjust their supply chains, relying on larger inventories and longer lead times. Just-in-time manufacturing would become impossible, forcing companies to stockpile raw materials and finished goods. This would require significant investments in warehousing and logistics, potentially increasing costs and reducing profitability. A strategy to overcome this would involve investing in regional supply chains, sourcing materials, and manufacturing goods closer to the point of sale. Maintaining international relationships would also be more challenging. Without the ease of air travel, face-to-face meetings would become less frequent and more expensive. Diplomats and business executives would need to rely on alternative forms of communication, such as video conferencing and written correspondence. However, these methods can be less effective for building trust and fostering personal connections. One way to mitigate this challenge would be to invest in cultural exchange programs and language training, promoting greater understanding and empathy between different cultures. Responding to international crises would be particularly difficult. Delivering humanitarian aid to disaster zones would take significantly longer, potentially delaying relief efforts and increasing the number of casualties. Coordinating international peacekeeping operations would also be more complex, requiring greater reliance on naval and ground forces. A strategy to address this would involve pre-positioning emergency supplies in strategic locations around the world and investing in rapid response maritime capabilities. Consider the challenge of conducting scientific research in remote areas. Without air travel, accessing research sites in Antarctica or the Amazon rainforest would be significantly more difficult and time-consuming. Scientists would need to rely on more traditional methods of transportation, such as ships and overland expeditions. This would require careful planning and logistical support, potentially limiting the scope and frequency of scientific research. A strategy to overcome this would involve establishing permanent research stations in key locations and investing in remote sensing technologies. Finally, consider the impact on individual lives. Visiting family members living overseas would become a major undertaking, requiring weeks or even months of travel time. This could lead to feelings of isolation and loneliness, particularly for immigrants and expatriates. A strategy to mitigate this would be to promote the use of communication technologies, such as video calling and social media, to maintain connections with loved ones. By understanding these practical applications and potential challenges, we can begin to appreciate the true scope of the airplane's impact on our world. This knowledge will empower us to think creatively about alternative solutions and to adapt to future disruptions in global transportation. Beyond the immediate challenges of a world without airplanes lie more nuanced strategic considerations that reshape geopolitical landscapes and economic models. A critical insight involves recognizing the potential for regional powers to gain prominence and exert greater control over localized markets. In a world where global reach is significantly constrained, nations with strong naval capabilities, advanced maritime technologies, and strategic control of key waterways would exert disproportionate influence. Consider, for instance, the historical example of Great Britain during the Age of Sail. Its dominance on the seas allowed it to control trade routes, project power across vast distances, and establish a global empire, influencing the course of revolutions and historical changes across continents. A world without airplanes could see a resurgence of this type of maritime dominance, potentially leading to new alliances and power struggles. Nations like Indonesia, strategically located along major shipping lanes such as the Strait of Malacca, could gain increased geopolitical leverage, controlling vital choke points for global trade and dictating terms to other nations dependent on maritime transport. The implications for international relations and global security would be profound, requiring a reassessment of traditional power dynamics and the development of new strategies for maintaining stability. A pivotal case study to consider is the impact on global supply chains during the COVID-19 pandemic, which offered a glimpse into the vulnerabilities of our interconnected global economy. The pandemic exposed the fragility of our reliance on air travel, with disruptions leading to significant delays and shortages in essential goods, impacting revolutions and historical changes globally. Imagine this scenario amplified in a world without airplanes, where alternative transportation methods become critical lifelines for global commerce. The economic consequences would be far more severe and long-lasting, potentially triggering widespread economic instability and social unrest. However, the pandemic also demonstrated the potential for resilience and adaptation, highlighting the importance of innovation and strategic planning. Companies responded by diversifying their supply chains, investing in regional manufacturing, and embracing digital technologies to manage logistics and coordinate production. These strategies could serve as a blueprint for navigating a world with limited air travel, emphasizing the need for flexibility, adaptability, and a willingness to embrace new technologies. Experts suggest that a key to success lies in fostering greater regional self-sufficiency and building more resilient, localized economies that are less dependent on global supply chains. This shift would necessitate significant investments in infrastructure, education, and technology, including advanced maritime vessels, efficient port facilities, and sophisticated communication networks. It could also lead to greater economic stability, reduced vulnerability to global shocks, and a more equitable distribution of wealth. Furthermore, a return to a more localized and regionalized society could potentially have a positive impact on the environment, reducing carbon emissions from long-distance transportation and promoting more sustainable patterns of consumption and production. The challenges are significant, but the opportunities for innovation and positive change are even greater. Embracing this alternate reality compels us to rethink fundamental assumptions about globalization and to forge a more resilient and sustainable future. The lack of air travel may also spur new areas to grow, such as advanced maritime technologies, improved rail systems, and more focus on local production. This would also lead to a new look at economics and trade, as areas begin to shift more towards localized trade and products as compared to trade across vast distances. It also has the potential to alter the spread of viruses as long-distance travel becomes harder. The need for new innovations and new ways of thinking are key to thriving in a world without airplanes. To further illustrate the real-world implications of a world without airplanes and strengthen the credibility of our analysis, let's examine supporting research, data, and expert opinions. The field of economic geography provides valuable insights into the impact of transportation infrastructure on regional development. Studies by researchers at the World Bank have consistently demonstrated a strong correlation between access to transportation networks and economic growth. For example, a 2009 World Bank report, Reshaping Economic Geography, found that improved transportation infrastructure can significantly reduce trade costs, increase market access, and promote economic integration. Applying this framework to our counterfactual scenario, it's reasonable to conclude that a world without airplanes would likely experience greater regional economic disparities, with areas lacking access to efficient maritime or terrestrial transport falling behind in terms of growth and development. And furthermore, research on supply chain resilience highlights the importance of diversification and redundancy in the face of disruptions. A 2020 report by McKinsey & Company, Risk, Resilience and Rebalancing in Global Value Chains, emphasized the need for companies to build more agile and adaptable supply chains to mitigate the impact of unforeseen events. The report cited the COVID-19 pandemic as a wake-up call, exposing the vulnerabilities of highly concentrated and geographically dispersed supply networks. In a world without airplanes, these vulnerabilities would be amplified, making it even more critical for businesses to invest in regional sourcing, nearshoring, and alternative transportation modes. Expert opinions from historians and economists also support the notion that the absence of airplanes would have profound consequences for global trade and communication. In his book, The World is Flat, Thomas Friedman argued that technological advancements, including air travel, have leveled the playing field, enabling businesses and individuals to collaborate and compete on a global scale. Without airplanes, this leveling effect would be diminished, potentially leading to a more uneven distribution of economic opportunities and a widening gap between developed and developing countries. Anecdotal evidence from the pre-aviation era provides further insights into the challenges of long-distance communication and travel. Letters could take weeks or even months to reach their destinations, making it difficult to conduct business or maintain personal relationships across continents. The story of Ernest Shackleton's ill-fated Antarctic expedition serves as a stark reminder of the risks and difficulties associated with maritime exploration in the absence of modern transportation technology. Compelling statistics on the economic impact of air travel further underscore its importance. According to the International Air Transport Association, IATA, the aviation industry supports over 87 million jobs worldwide and contributes approximately $3 GDP. A significant reduction in air travel would have a ripple effect throughout the global economy, impacting industries such as tourism, manufacturing, and logistics. By drawing on these sources of research, data, expert opinions, anecdotal evidence, and compelling statistics, we can build a more robust and credible case for the transformative impact of the airplane. This understanding is essential for navigating the complexities of our interconnected world and for preparing for future disruptions in global transportation. Analyzing the past helps us to better understand present-day realities and also to plan for future changes. The reliance on data is what makes these insights so powerful. As we approach the resolution of this thought experiment, it's crucial to emphasize the actionable insights we've gained and address any remaining questions or doubts. We began by asking how our world maps might look different, how our cities would be structured, and how our personal relationships would evolve without the ease of long-distance travel. Let's revisit these questions in light of our exploration. Regarding world maps, a world without airplanes would likely feature a more pronounced emphasis on maritime trade routes and strategically located port cities. Coastal regions would become even more densely populated, while inland areas might experience greater isolation and slower economic development. The map would reflect the dominance of naval powers and the importance of controlling key waterways, reminiscent of the age of exploration. As for city structures, we'd likely see less emphasis on vertical expansion and more focus on horizontal development. Skyscrapers, symbols of modern air travel and urban density, might be less prevalent, with cities adapting to a slower pace of transportation and communication. Urban planning would prioritize efficient public transportation systems and pedestrian-friendly infrastructure. Experts in urban design suggest that cities would evolve into more self-sufficient and sustainable ecosystems, relying on local resources and regional supply chains. Our personal relationships would undoubtedly be affected by the absence of air travel. Maintaining connections with loved ones living abroad would require more effort and planning, potentially leading to stronger ties within local communities and a greater appreciation for face-to-face interactions. Communication technologies, such as video conferencing and social media, would play an even more critical role in bridging the distance, but they could not fully replace the emotional connection of physical presence. According to a study by Pew Research Center, approximately 65% of adults report feeling closer to family members who live far away due to the use of digital communication tools. However, the same study found that 70% of adults still believe that face-to-face interactions are essential for maintaining strong relationships. Some may still doubt the significance of a single invention in shaping the course of history. However, the airplane is not merely a mode of transportation, it's a symbol of human ingenuity and a catalyst for globalization. Its absence would have far-reaching consequences, impacting every aspect of our lives and altering the very fabric of society. Consider, for instance, the words of aviation pioneer Amelia Earhart. The most effective way to do it is to do it. Earhart's spirit of exploration and innovation embodies the transformative power of flight and its profound impact on our world. Understanding the impact of the airplane can therefore provide useful insights into a number of fields. The actionable insight is that we can't take technological advancements for granted, and we must carefully consider the potential consequences of their absence. The key here is to build robust alternative systems, promote regional self-sufficiency, and cultivate a greater appreciation for the interconnectedness of our world. We've journeyed through a world without airplanes, exploring its profound implications for communication, trade, warfare, and societal development. We've examined the challenges of adapting to slower transportation, maintaining international relationships, and responding to global crises. We've also considered the strategic advantages for regional powers and the potential for greater regional self-sufficiency. Now let's summarize the key takeaways and outline actionable next steps. The primary takeaway is the importance of understanding the interconnectedness of our world and the fragility of our reliance on specific technologies. The absence of airplanes would not simply erase a mode of transportation. It would fundamentally alter the fabric of our societies, economies, and cultures. This understanding underscores the need for greater resilience and adaptability in the face of unforeseen challenges. A second key insight involves the potential for regionalization as a strategy for mitigating the risks of globalization. By investing in regional supply chains, promoting local manufacturing, and strengthening regional economic cooperation, we can reduce our vulnerability to global disruptions and foster greater economic stability. This requires a shift in mindset, moving away from a purely globalized model towards a more balanced and diversified approach. A third actionable insight is the need to embrace innovation and technological advancements that can enhance transportation and communication. While airplanes have transformed our world, they are not the only solution. Investing in high-speed rail networks, advanced maritime technologies, and satellite communication systems can provide alternative means of connecting people and facilitating trade. Applying these insights can yield significant benefits. By building more resilient and diversified systems, we can reduce our vulnerability to global shocks and promote greater economic stability. By fostering regional self-sufficiency, we can create more sustainable and equitable societies, and by embracing innovation, we can unlock new opportunities for economic growth and social progress. So what are the actionable next steps? First, consider your own reliance on air travel and identify ways to reduce your carbon footprint. Support sustainable tourism initiatives and explore alternative modes of transportation. Second, advocate for policies that promote regional economic development and investment in local businesses. Support initiatives that strengthen regional supply chains and reduce dependence on global imports. Third, stay informed about technological advancements that have the potential to transform transportation and communication. Support research and development efforts in areas such as high-speed rail, electric vehicles, and satellite technology. The journey doesn't end here. To continue this exploration, research how other major technological advancements shaped society. Share your insights and ideas with others, and let's work together to build a more resilient, sustainable, and equitable future. As we conclude this imaginative journey, let's retain a profound appreciation for the intertwined relationship between innovation and its consequences. The exploration of a world devoid of airplanes, despite its hypothetical nature, offers a compelling lesson on the multifaceted influence of technology on our existence, our communities, and our comprehension of the global landscape. It's a scenario that evokes reflections on unrealized possibilities, while simultaneously highlighting the capacity for alternative developmental trajectories and unforeseen technological advancements. The fundamental lesson isn't merely the lack of a particular invention, but rather the acknowledgement that each technological decision we undertake reverberates through history, establishing an intricate framework of causality. By grasping these interconnections, we can evolve into more conscientious architects of our destiny, embracing innovation with both fervor and critical awareness. We must always bear in mind that advancement transcends mere velocity and effectiveness. It encompasses ecological responsibility, social justice, and the safeguarding of human bonds. Consider the potential of localized economies spurred by the absence of air travel to foster stronger community ties and reduce reliance on global supply chains. This shift could promote greater environmental sustainability and resilience to unforeseen disruptions. Therefore, I urge you to persist in probing this captivating nexus of technology, historical events, and human ingenuity. Investigate other significant inventions and contemplate their prospective ramifications on the world stage. Initiate discussions with acquaintances, relatives, and co-workers concerning the trials and prospects presented by technological evolution. Above all, translate these insights into tangible actions within your sphere of influence to foster a more robust, ecologically sound, and just global community. The quest for enlightenment is perpetual. As you progress, contemplate the wisdom of Ursula K. Le Guin, who astutely observed, "It is above all by the imagination that we achieve perception and compassion and hope." It falls upon us to harness this perceptive capability judiciously. Through profound contemplation and purposeful endeavors, we can guarantee that the historical transformations engendered by technology contribute to the enrichment of all humankind, ensuring that the revolutions and historical changes ahead are guided by wisdom and foresight. Consider, too, the ethical implications of emerging technologies like artificial intelligence and genetic engineering. These advancements hold immense potential for both good and ill, and it is our responsibility to ensure that they are developed and deployed in a manner that benefits all of humanity. We are living in an era of rapid technological change, and it is more important than ever to engage in thoughtful dialogue about the future we want to create. Understanding the past, present, and future role inventions have helped create a better world for humanity.